All right, well, it looks like the recording has started, so we'll get started with this presentation today. So hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Dallin. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Stormwater Quality here at the City of Oklahoma City. I'd like to officially welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn event. I hope everyone has a tasty lunch and is ready to hear from our guest speaker. Should be a great presentation today. We will begin momentarily, so I wanted to provide some information to help enhance everyone's experience during today's presentation. We do ask that everyone keep themselves muted in order to reduce background noise. If you have questions during the presentation, feel free to type those into chat at any time. I will be monitoring chat for questions, and we will have our speaker answer as many questions as we have time for today. If anyone would like to receive a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, please send me an email to request it. I've just put my email address into chat, so you'll have it handy. And if you have several folks attending with you, just make sure that in that email request that you list everyone's name, and I'll be happy to get those to you. Each of the presentations in this virtual Lunch and Learn series has been recorded and will be available for chat if you rejoin the calendar event in Teams. We're also posting these to our okc.gov website, so be sure to check out our website in a week or so if you'd like to rewatch this one, or you can check our website for any of the others we've hosted this year to watch those. And of course, if anyone has any questions at this time, feel free to type them into chat. Up next is the main presentation for today's webinar. We're going to hear from Nathan Wood from TrueGRID Permeable Pavers. Nathan is the co-founder of TrueGRID Permeable Pavers and is currently the Commercial Business Development Advisor for the Western United States. And Nathan is being joined by Tim Brinkley to help him with the IT portion of his presentation. Again, if anyone has any questions, be sure to type them into chat. Tim, go ahead and share your screen so y'all can begin that presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. This presentation is, of course, it's an AI accredited course too. I know that you're sending Rebecca your emails, but it's also good for a continued education unit as well that we can provide. With that being said, this course is about TrueGRID Permeable Pavers, and TrueGRID is a U.S.-based company. We do all our own manufacturing here in the U.S. We originated in Texas, where we still do a majority of our manufacturing. But we are also, we were acquired a few years ago as well from Airlight Plastics out of Omaha, Nebraska. So now we've really spread out. We've got manufacturing in all across the country as well. All made from 100% post-consumer recycled material. And then of course, the whole point of permeable paver and TrueGRID is to provide a heavy traffic, heavy load, permeable paving solution that also provides detention. So what we're really trying to achieve here is, basically low impact development, and also, non-conventional ways of storing detention under usable space instead of running it off into, your conventional detention like, ponds or underground systems. Not only for cost effectiveness, just for a lower impact on, not only your budget, but the environment. With that being said, this presentation is a recorded presentation. TrueGRID is more than just a manufacturer. We have a full technical team here. We have, professional engineers. We have stormwater expertise. So, just keep in mind this presentation is going to give you guys an overview of what TrueGRID provides and all the many benefits of it. But beyond just a manufacturer and and product provider, we have a full technical team here. So every project's a little bit different. Every site's going to have different needs, whether you're trying to design for pervious cover or trying to design for a subsurface detention volume. Always feel free that you can reach out to me directly or just reach out to anybody on the TrueGRID team. And we have a bunch of professional people here that will work with you directly on your site specifics. So and provide the CAD, help with the adjustments. Look at your project specific issues and see how we can solve it and help you but mainly best utilize your land. And that's really what we're trying to achieve here is to do stormwater management, whether it's quality, detention, or pervious cover. But really especially with all the increasing detention requirements across the country, really help those designers, best utilize, the land that they're, working on. With that being said, like I said, that, we'll always open this up to questions. If anybody has questions right now, you can unmute, ask questions. Of course, you can, use the chat function and type questions along the way. Halfway through this presentation, I think the first half is about 25 minutes. There'll be a question and answer. We'll stop. I'll open it up for questions. I'm sure that the first half will raise some questions, and I'll be able to provide answers and and basically provide those answers that the first half raises. Of course, and then there'll be a 20-minute second half, and we'll open that up after that for question and answer as well. So just keep in mind, this is going to give an overview, but this is going to kind of show you how the system works and what it can provide. But it'll raise technical questions that I'm here to provide not only now, but afterwards as as your projects come up. That's what we're here to do, is provide assistance and technical direction. That being said, Tim, if you want to get the first half started, we'll see you guys in about 25 minutes. We'll open it up to questions there, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right, well, that completes the first half. Yeah, apologize for those glitches. I don't think that'll be happening in the second half. I think that's something that Tim said might be happening toward the end of this first half. So let's hope that goes away. With that being said, like that's kind of gives you the overview of how TrueGRID works and how permeable paving and TrueGRID is a high traffic heavy load. TrueGRID was designed to be able to do anything concrete or asphalt can do, but while allowing stormwater to drain at the point of contact and down into the sub base to where it's detained and then drains back in the ground, or you can move it out if you have non-draining soils and just basically acts as your detention below the usable surface. I'm going to open this up to questions, so of course you guys can click on your mic and ask questions. I see that Rebecca has one question over there in the chat about the 15-acre. That's the auto auction lot, which at that time that's 2017 when that was installed, and that time it was our biggest project, and it was actually the biggest all permeable paving lot at that time. Since then, we've actually done larger projects. That's one thing about TrueGRID. Especially in these larger projects, we do tons of storage facilities for that reason, where you're actually designing a big area and you get your high detention rate, and they're saying, well, you got to use a quarter of that land for detention. So the TrueGRID allows you to utilize 100% of the land, which is a big deal for storage, because now they have more revenue space. The maintenance on that lot, I mean, it's a secure lot because that's where they're storing all their there's an auction house. We're storing all their coal, but as far as I know, they haven't had to maintain them. You use a washed angular stone. You just fill it to the top of the grid. The robust walls of the TrueGRID lock that angular stone in, so it's not going to move around. The most thing that and I've seen projects here in Houston where we're based, where we got 4 million square feet on the ground, and I pass projects every day, and I don't see, especially with the gravel infill, you don't see a lot of maintenance needs. With grass, of course, you got to keep it healthy, and we don't recommend grass for high traffic areas or areas where you're going to be parking a lot, just because the need to maintain the grass. And you usually see grass infills more of a overflow parking. You see a lot of sporting events, churches, things like that, where they just need overflow parking, a lot of green fire lanes. But the good thing is, something unique happens on a TrueGRID surface, as a maintenance issue. It's a modular system. So if you do have an area that needs maintained, you basically just, pop out a piece or, issue, fix the base below and pop, some more in. It's a really inexpensive way of repairing. It's not like you got to come in and, bring in a bunch of equipment to repair potholes or seal or anything like that. It's just, it's modular. It makes it real simple to repair if there are issues. And I see that in the conference room, they said, what do you do when it breaks? Well, this modular. So if you do have a piece, and it's very robust, you saw where you had an 80,000 pound, aggregate truck on top of the empty TrueGRID, easily handling that load. Of course, when you fill it with aggregate, it becomes stronger. But if you do have an area of issue, you pull that, whether it's a 2 foot by 2 foot area or 4 foot by 4 foot area, you pull that area out, you repair the base, back to where you want it to be, and then you lay some new TrueGRID. Very, very inexpensive way to fix an area if you do. But on normal traffic, vehicle traffic like that, you shouldn't have any breakage. Like any other pavement, the surface is going to reflect the base. So as long as you get your base right and get it locked in, and so where it's not moving, the TrueGRID is going to reflect that. It's going to stay even, so you're not going to be breaking any of the grid. And one thing, look at the integral parts of the actual product. It's got the flex joints, and then if you do have subgrade movement too, it's got the ability to conform and flex and contract, and has a little give and take. So even if you do have subgrade movement, say you have some really unstable clay soils, even though they were engineered to to be stabilized, even if they do have movement over time, or in colder climates where you have freeze thaw cycles, the TrueGRID is designed to flex and contract. So, it's not going to break. There's a lot of rigid systems out there where you might have those issues. They don't have any give to them. The TrueGRID was designed to move. So instead of putting all the pressure on the actual, the walls or in the, the connectors, it's going to flex and contract. So it helps with, that issue of not breaking or buckling or basically unzipping at the connectors. That's not going to happen with a TrueGRID because of the ability to move. I see another question, where does the product meet ADA accessible standards? Yes, it does. We've got third-party testing. There's some info on our website about ADA compliance. The TrueGRID itself has been tested for ADA, and for ADA compliance, you just basically fill the grid to the top and don't do an overfill. If you overfill it with any type of aggregate, and sometimes people will overfill, but you usually don't see that in the commercial side. You usually see it on the residential side where they don't want to see the grid. But once you overfill, where you have loose gravel on top, that's when it becomes non-ADA compliant. So just fill it to the top, like you will see in most of our commercial installs, and it's been tested and approved for ADA compliance. Now, say you run into some issues, and we see this a lot in California. We do a lot of business because they're very pro low impact development or permeable paving, but they have a real issue with a gravel infill for ADA compliance, even though it is. That's where the decking piece comes in. So in your handicap spaces, you would just do the decking, where you don't have to have the gravel infill. You just snap the decking piece on it, and that will solve the issues if somebody has an issue with the ADA compliance with a gravel infill. But there's a lot of information on our website about ADA, and there's examples. You'll see a lot of the commercial lots on our projects page where the ADA spots are, just your typical gravel fill. You'll use the blue, super spots for striping, and you can use the plates for, for marking the handicap spots. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? And feel free to click on the mic, and if you have. Yes, we do have photos. Go on our, when you have a chance, go to TrueGridPaver.com, and we're going to show you some grass infill on the second half. The second half of this is really just going to show you a lot of projects coast to coast. So it's going to show you parking lots with all different type of infills, and you'll see some grass infills, but also beyond. It's going to kind of show you some case studies as well. But on our website, we have a projects page. You click on that, and there's just tons of projects from all different parts of the United States with stone infill, grass infill. So the TrueGRID doesn't care what you fill it with. Typically it's going to be a washed stone for permeability and drainage, or it's going to be grass. But we've had people fill it with recycled asphalt. We've had people fill it with recycled rubber. There was a project in Austin where they did a pathway with tumbled glass. So you can get creative with it. But usually it's going to be for your higher traffic, lower maintenance type projects like commercial parking lots. It's going to be a washed angular stone infill with a washed angular base for drainage and detention, or you're going to see a grass infill, and usually see that a lot of times, like I said, in overflow parking. You see it in a lot of sporting events, a lot of green fire lanes where going around the building, but they want it to be a green space as well. So they'll do a TrueGRID, HS20 approved fire lane with a grass infill, and then they'll mark it with a red super spot, so it's delineated, and exactly where the fire lane is, but it's a nice green space as well. So it's just a different way of thinking about, instead of concreting around a building, you can have a green space and have drainage. And see, Rebecca just put the website up, so that's what you would click on to go to the projects page. Or there's a lot of case studies. There's just a lot of examples, a lot of technical info for all the engineers and architects out there, or our contractors as installation guidance. So you can go there and see all the typicals. But keep in mind, we have the CADs on there as well. So say you got your typical commercial cross section with an 8-inch base. You might need more detention. You can always go deeper. We've had projects that have gone 4 feet deep, to pick up a detention in a small area, especially in an urban area. Sure, they needed a certain amount of detention for whatever reason, the site specifics. And that, going 4 feet on the stone has been proven to be cheaper than, what would normally have to be done with concrete and asphalt with, the underground storage systems, which are, as you guys probably all know, is very expensive. So, really got to look at TrueGRID. It's basically just a French drain that can hold a lot of weight and handle a lot of traffic. The water is stored in the, naturally in the stone below. There's a 40% void space in that type of aggregate, and the water is going to detain. And then, if you have good draining soils, let it drain right back into the soils. If you don't, then, design it to move out. There's all that technical information on our website. And of course, always come to me if you have questions, can't find something, or have some site-specific questions. You'll have my contact info, and I'll be able to help you. Any additional questions? If there are no additional questions, there's going to be another question and answer after this second half. But like I said, this is going to be kind of a menu of different types of projects. You're going to see it from California to the East Coast of, just different types of projects and how it's been used and different infills. There's a few case studies it's going to talk about, especially on the land saving side, that is usually the most important to developers is, how do I best utilize my land so I'm not, putting a big hole in the ground that I'll never get back. I can actually utilize my land, for revenue or whatever it needs, parking, whatever it may be. With that being said, Tim, let's get going on the second half. I think it's about 20 minutes, and we'll have another question and answer afterwards. All right, well, thank you. That completes the second half of the presentation. And like I said, I know Rebecca's going to get all your and send you guys a certificate. I'm not sure, Rebecca, will that be the same thing as like the continued education, or the separate? Because we have a CEU certificate as well that for any type of PEs or architects that need any type of continued education credits.
Right. So for the folks that email me, I can if you make a note that you need the official CEU, I can just forward that to you, Nathan, and you can do their certificate if you just need a normal, not unfancy
Yeah, just
certificate.
let me,
I can do that.
absolutely. So we'll be happy to get that over to you. With that being said, we're going to opening it up to questions. So again, you can click on the mic and ask any questions. I'm here to help. I see that we do have one question in the chat about gully washers and flow velocity. It's hard to say as far as what the flow velocity max is, but I can give some examples of TrueGRID and flooding areas. I mean, we're in Houston where we began, and we have 4 million square feet down in the area, probably more than that now. But even back in Harvey, when we had floods, we have TrueGRID parking lots all around the bayous. And when they flooded, it's all designed for detention. But when something like that hits, the volume that you've designed it to store is not going to cover a Harvey type event. So we had plenty of TrueGRID parking lots, underwater. Granted, that was rising water, and they were completely under. Some of them were underwater by 4 feet. But what happened when that water, subsided and drained out, the TrueGRID was all there. The rock was in place. And actually, gave it a nice, cleaned it basically. There was some debris and all that on top of it, but it was fine. TrueGRID's often spec as well in flood zones where they're trying to help mitigate the flooding issues that are in those surrounding areas. I wouldn't probably say you got some really high flow velocity where you're going to have a high flow going across it. I think it'll handle, but it's filled with loose rock, so something like that I would think would probably take out some of the rock infill, and the rock infill is actually the anchoring system as well. The TrueGRID is not going to go anywhere because it's one big large mat that's all connected, so also anchored in with the rock. But you would probably where you have a really high flow velocity going across it, some areas that's going to flood like that. I would say the product is going to stay there, the parking lot's going to stay there, but you're probably going to have to go back, something like that, and add some infill, because I would expect that a lot of that would be washed out when you have a really high flow velocity going across. But like I said, any type of just flooding areas where you have rising water and potential, the TrueGRID is going to help soak a lot of that up and help mitigate it. But you have a heavy event, like a Harvey type event, whereas you've reached surpassed the detention capacity that's designed for. That rising water is going to once it subsides, everything's still going to be there. I've seen it in several examples here in Houston. Any additional questions? Like, feel free, guys, to to click the mic and just ask a question directly. If any questions come up afterwards, you can email me direct, and if you got a project or anything like that you have questions that see if TrueGRID might be helpful toward it. That's what I'm here for, for the technical side, to offer any type of guidance, provide any type of technical documents. So always feel free to reach out directly.
Great. Thanks so much, Nathan. So as a reminder, if anyone would like to receive a certificate of attendance for today's presentation, feel free to send me an email to request that. Or if you want the technical one, you can go ahead and email Nathan directly, or just let me know. Either way, we'll get it to you. I have put my email address into chat, as well as the direct link to the website where you can watch the recorded versions of our Lunch and Learns. And on the screen, I have our QR codes. If anyone needs to register for any of our newsletters or training and education announcements, feel free to point your phone's camera at any one of those, or you can also email me and I'll get you those links. So thanks everyone for attending today's session. We hope everyone enjoyed the presentation. Hope to see you again at one of our upcoming monthly webinars. October 19th at 1 p.m. is the next installment in our Stormwater Quality Monthly webinar series. And the October presentation will be provided by Wayne Craney and Kim Douglas of the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, and they will be providing information on the reauthorization of Oklahoma's construction general permit, the OKR10, along with, this is a quote from them, everything you always wanted to know about stormwater construction enforcement. Again, that's from the DEQ perspective. So I hope to see you guys there as well. And thanks again for attending. Sorry we went a couple minutes over, but have a great day, everyone. And we'll hang out here if anyone has any questions.